What the notwithstanding clause does is says, regardless of the fact that we are attacking your fundamental rights or limiting your fundamental rights, and the Charter says that's wrong, we're still going to go ahead and do it. It's basically a loophole that allows a majority to override fundamental rights of a minority.
It's important to underline that close to 90% of truckers in this country are vaccinated, like close to 90% of Canadians. Over the past many months and years now, Canadians have stepped up to protect each other, to protect our frontline workers, to protect our elders, to protect our young people, to protect people like truckers who are putting food on our grocery store shelves. Canadians have stepped up to do the right thing to protect the freedoms and the rights of Canadians to get back to the things we love to do. We know the way through this pandemic is by getting everyone vaccinated. And the overwhelming majority, close to 90% of Canadians, have done exactly that. The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other, who know that following the science and stepping up to protect each other is the best way to continue to ensure our freedoms, our rights, our values as a country. I have attended protests and rallies in the past when I agreed with the goals, when I supported the people expressing their concerns and their issues. Black Lives Matter is an excellent example of that. But I have also chosen to not go anywhere near protests that have expressed hateful rhetoric, violence towards fellow citizens, and a disrespect, not just of science, but of the frontline health workers and, quite frankly, the 90% of truckers who have been doing the right thing to keep Canadians safe, to put food on our tables. Canadians know where I stand. This is a moment for responsible leaders to think carefully about where they stand and who they stand with. Admiration I actually have for China because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime.
You were going to take a free holiday from someone you consider a friend, but obviously you have a different definition of a friend than the commissioner. You knew that they had a lobbying registry, that they were set up to lobby the government. How could it not have occurred to you that that might not have been okay?
The fact is, we work, sorry, let me just try to reorder the thoughts. We worked with the lobby conflict of interest commissioner. And I'm proud to say I'm a feminist, and the things that we see online, whether it's issues like Gamergate and video games and misogyny in popular culture, is something that we need people to stand clearly against.
To also look into the policies that religious charitable organizations have in our legislation so that it can also be changed, because maternal love is the love that's going to change the future of mankind. So we'd like you to look
we like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind, because it's more inclusive.
There we go, exactly. Yes, thank you.
We can all learn from each other. We import more steel than the Americans import. We have a significant trade surplus. The Americans have a significant trade surplus with us on steel, which means.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
Kids to get an opportunity to succeed to a maximal level with quality early learning and childcare. It is exactly the example of the kinds of things you need to do to counter the she-cession and turn it into a she-covery. Which is focused on 5 main themes: skills development and immigration, infrastructure, innovation, climate change and clean growth, and finally, I did them out of order, so now I'm skipping on the last one, which is, it's a broad range of issues.
Asking for a meeting with you. Will you meet with her at some point to talk about the budget?
I look forward to meeting with the Conservative leader, Rona Ambrose. Looking for a title there. She's not a minister anymore. I'm looking forward to meeting with Ms. Ambrose and discussing this and any other concerns.
In British Columbia, Yukon, the Northwest Territories, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Nunavut, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, or Newfoundland and Labrador. But we embrace that diversity while knowing in our hearts that we are all Canadians.
In this economic climate, how committed to a balanced budget would you be right now? Would it worry you to go into deficit in this current climate to, as you say, put more people to work?
The commitment needs to be a commitment to grow the economy, and the budget will balance itself.
Blow it out your ass! 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 Blow it out your ass!
Made a convicted terrorist a multimillionaire when he paid the murderer of U.S. Army medic Christopher Speer $10.5 million. The Supreme Court didn't order any monetary compensation for Omar Khadr, but the Prime Minister said that because of the actions of the previous Martin Liberal government, he just had to write the check. Why has the Prime Minister spent over $40 million to fight Canadian veterans in court, but decided to pay $10.5 million to a convicted terrorist without putting up a fight?
Exactly.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The Liberal Party believes that terrorists should get to keep their Canadian citizenship. Because I do.
Shut the fuck up!
And I'm willing to take on anyone who disagrees with that.
Trudeau, yesterday, Kiva Mohamed-Elizadeh, an Iranian-born Canadian citizen, was sentenced to 24 years on terror-related charges. The judge said his betrayal amounts to treason. Should his Canadian citizenship, along with the citizenships of those like him, be revoked?
Any other questions?
The allowance these Syrian refugees receive is $1,500 per month. They also receive a $2,100 a month Canada Child Benefit for a total of $3,600 per month.
Watch this. The man in the front is the Conservative whip. He can't get by a group of NDP MPs, including leader Tom Mulcair. On the left, the Prime Minister comes striding over to intervene. He has words with Mulcair. At the same time, he clearly also makes contact with MP Ruth Ellen Brosseau.
I was put on this planet to do this.
Blow it out your ass!
This is I fight and I win. It's what I'm good at. Non, mais c'est vrai, chérie.
You fight from the good place.
And the finance minister answered by calling her a Neanderthal. Will the Prime Minister do the right thing and order his finance minister to apologize?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, of course, I'm happy to say that I think that all members in this House should treat each other with respect at all times. But with Budget 2018, we're taking the next steps towards building an equal, competitive, sustainable, and fair Canada, where science, curiosity, and innovation spur economic growth. Our strong fiscal plans mean that we can continue to invest in ways that will strengthen and grow the middle class and lay a more solid foundation for our children's future.
It's so hard to be patient here with all of these lies. Okay. Yes, that is one question. Why are we buying oil from Saudi Arabia, Mr. Trudeau? Number 2 question. I just read a report from Ontario where you said Sharia law was compatible with Canadian values. I'm like, are you kidding me? You've sold us out to globalism.
Okay.
You are not working for Canada. You are working for your globalist partners. I wonder how much they're paying you to betray Canada. What do we do with traitors in Canada, Mr. Trudeau? We used to hang them for treason. And you're doing that very same thing to us now.
Okay.
We know what you're doing. But you can start with the oil question first.
Okay. It's interesting that you started with concerns about facts and truth in answers and in our approach. And if we're going to have rigorous debates about what the best way is forward for the country, I think we need to do it around the facts. Now, there is a lot of misinformation out there that talks about, among others, Quebec as being reliant on Saudi oil, and that that's a problem for Canada and a big issue. That is false. Quebec actually gets its oil from the United States and from Western Canada. The reversal of the Line 9 pipeline actually means over the past 3 years, Quebec has gotten 3 times as much oil from the oil sands as it ever had before. Sharia law, I am pleased to be able to tell you that that also is not something that I ever said.
Canadians are quick to point out that ISIS is wrong, that Islam is not incompatible with a Western secular democracy, a free place.
But
like
on the other
Canada.
hand, we need to make sure that we're working with communities like the Muslim community, for example, to demonstrate that that Islam is not incompatible with free and open Western societies.
There is, again, misinformation out there.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
Has the Prime Minister met with the Ethics Commissioner? And if so, how many times? Very, very simple.
I am pleased to work with the Ethics Commissioner and Conflict of Interest Commissioner to answer any questions she may have. That's what Canadians expect of the Prime Minister, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
How many times has the Prime Minister met with the Ethics Commissioner?
I am very happy to work with and answer the Ethics and Conflict of Interest Commissioner questions. I think it's extremely important that we be working.
It's been asked 4 times already. I don't even know why I'm trying, to be frank, but I'll repeat this simple question. How many times has the Prime Minister met with the Ethics Commissioner?
Happy, as should be any member of this House, to work with the Ethics Commissioner, answer any questions that she may have. I think that's important.
This Prime Minister said he would stand up every Wednesday and answer every question that's being asked of every member on this side of the House, and he fails to do it. He's been asked 5 times today, Mr. Speaker, about the Ethics Commissioner. For the sake of my colleagues, I'll ask it again. How many times? 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 And how many times has he met with the Ethics Commissioner?
Canadians expect clarity, they expect consistency, and when asked the same question, I will give the same answer. That's what Canadians expect. I will work with and answer the questions that the Ethics Commissioner and Conflict of Interest Commissioner may have.
If he sincerely believes in transparency and accountability, he's going to have to find it somewhere inside himself to answer this very basic question, because it only concerns him, and he knows the answer. He is being investigated by the Ethics Commissioner. How many times has the Prime Minister communicated with the Ethics Commissioner? Answer the question.
When asked the same question, I will give the same answer. I'm happy to work with the Ethics Commissioner on any questions she may have. And one of the things that I like about Prime Minister's question period is I get to take questions from any MP across the way who has their questions, not just the party leaders, which I think is important for all members in this House to be able to ask direct questions of their Prime Minister.
For the 8th time many times have you met with the Ethics Commissioner?
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to sit and work with the Ethics Commissioner on answering any of the questions she may have. That's the kind of things that is important to Canadians.
Of pretending to answer the question, so he's decided he just won't even pretend to answer it at all. So I'll ask it one more time. We know that he has difficulty counting. How many times did the Prime Minister meet with the Ethics Commissioner with regards to the investigation into his trip to Billionaire Island?
Mr. Speaker, I am happy to answer as many questions as the members opposite have, but if they ask the same question, they will keep getting the same answer. That I am pleased to work with the Ethics and Conflict of Interest Commissioner to answer any questions that she might have.
I'm going to try a different angle. A, was it 0 times did he meet with the Ethics Commissioner? B, was it 1 to 5, or C, 6 to 10?
Questions that she might have.
What's he covering up here? How many times has he communicated with the Ethics Commissioner?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to work with the Ethics Commissioner to answer any questions that she might have.
Has he met the Ethics Commissioner?
Happy to work with the Ethics Commissioner to answer any questions that she might have.
A well-known French writer once said, "Man is not what he thinks he is what he hides." So will the Prime Minister stop hiding the truth and show Canadians what he's actually made of, and tell Canadians how many times he's met with the Ethics Commissioner?
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to work with the Ethics Commissioner to answer any questions that she may have.
How many times has the Prime Minister met with the Ethics Commissioner?
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to work with the Ethics Commissioner and answer any questions that she may have.
The question is not if he is happy or satisfied or feeling good about meeting the Ethics Commissioner.
But like I said, what do you do with someone with an allergy? What do you do with someone who's immunocompromised, or someone who, for religious or deep convictions, decides that no, they're not going to get a vaccine? We're not a country.
What do you do?
Well, we're not a country that makes vaccination mandatory, for example.
You deserve better. You deserve a government that's going to continue to say, get vaccinated. And you know what? If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train besides vaccinated people and put them at risk. Blow it out your ass! 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 Blow it out your ass!
You mentioned the Bank of Canada's mandate. That mandate is actually expiring at the end of this year. If re-elected, it's probably the review or the extension of the mandate is probably the first big economic policy decision you'd make after the election. There's some talk of allowing the Bank of Canada to make some tweaks to the mandate to give it a little bit more flexibility to tolerate higher inflation, so it could help stimulate the economy a little bit more in this very difficult time. Do you have a position on the mandate? Would you support a slightly higher tolerance for inflation?
I don't know. When I think about the biggest, most important economic policy this government, if re-elected, would move forward, you'll forgive me if I don't think about monetary policy.
Why are your deficits good and their deficits bad?
Well, deficits are a way of measuring the kind of growth and the kind of success.
These families, or find out which families would be suitable for a photo op for the Prime Minister's re-election campaign? That's disgusting.
Thank you. If you don't want to bomb a group as ghastly as ISIS, when would you ever support real military action as opposed to just training?
Terry, that's a nonsensical question. You know that.
And I'll quote it here. No veteran will be forced to fight their own government for the support and compensation they have earned. Yet you are still currently in a legal battle with veterans regarding equal support and compensation to their peers. You have ISIL or ISIS members coming into a reintegration program. You did a backdoor deal with Omar Khadr with not even stepping into the courtroom. So again, my question is, what veterans were you talking about? Was it the ones that fought
for the freedoms and values that you so proudly boast about, or was it the ones who fought against? Because honestly, Mr. Prime Minister, I was prepared to be injured in the line of duty when I joined the military. Nobody forced me to join the military. I was prepared to be killed in action. What I wasn't prepared for, Mr. Prime Minister, is Canada turning its back on me. So which veteran was it that you were talking about?
Why are we still fighting against certain veterans groups in court? Because they're asking for more than we are able to give right now. They are asking for more than we... Well, no, hang on. You're asking for honest answers. The old Veterans Charter involved lump sum payments and very little in the way of service.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
Let's see CBC show this.
We're doing a great job!
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm down here with a police officer in Ottawa. How are you doing today?
Doing great.
How's it been down here?
Nothing but good. People are super good. The truckers have been having a good time. They've been getting their point across, and you know what? It's a beautiful city that we're in, and they can't ignore all of this, right?
Absolutely. No, thank you very much.
Good night, truckers.
Freedom is the right to say no.
A number of trucks slow-rolled their way to the Niagara region Sunday morning.
Hundreds of truckers continue to roll east.
The convoy was met with a large number of supporters braving the cold along the way, many of whom say they are fully vaccinated but are simply against vaccination mandates.
A lot of people are trying to say that these types of things are done out of anger, but this is actually being done out of frustration towards the things that the government is imposing upon Canadian citizens.
Last few years have been hard on everybody. This is our freedoms, our rights. They've been taken away. We want them back. We got the ground rumbling now.
Speaker, and I apologize that minister is misleading Canadians. I do get very defensive of Canadians who are outside today, patriotic, peace-loving Canadians who are called misogynist and racist by the Prime Minister.
Blackface,
so again, I will ask the Prime Minister, who, may I remind this House, wore blackface on more times than he can remember, apologize to the peace-loving, patriotic Canadians who are outside right now just asking to be heard. Will he speak to them?
The Honourable. This is what's happening to millions of Canadians in 10 years under Stephen Harper.
And this is what it's like under for my government. Vote libtard.